Hi guys, it's your girl B Dunn, also known as the Healthy Hoe, here to bring you a health segment. So, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Always, which is owned by Procter and Gamble, they've decided to remove a tiny Venus symbol from its packaging because some males and females that want to be men are offended by it. Actually, I have a pad right here. I don't really use these anymore, so I had to go dig in the crates. If you can see it, it's right there. Oh, and here's another one right there. It's made me feel so good about my periods. Anywho, so there's a new argument that women aren't the only people who get periods on Earth. This is physically impossible. I remember the South Park episode when Cartman was like having rectal bleeding and he thought he had a period. That's hilarious. But if you are ever bleeding from your penis or your anus, I need you to seek immediate medical attention. That is not normal, just so you know. Now, I had intentions of doing a video about all the chemicals and the risks with using mainline pads and tampons. You know, all the chemicals that we're being exposed to during our cycles, even though they're only once a month. I felt like this is a good time to do it. So let me get started with the risks. So, pads and tampons are all made of cotton, in case you didn't know. Now, there are processes, like no one just yanked a piece of cotton off a plant and just threw it in its packaging. But there's a bleaching process, and it creates a byproduct mercury and dioxins. And dioxins are linked to hormone disruption and autoimmunity, while mercury is connected to the disruption of the digestive, immune, and nervous systems. And also, 90% of cotton is genetically modified, which means that in this particular crop case, farmers can spray glyphosate onto the cotton, and it doesn't kill it. It just kills all the weeds and everything else around it. Remember the video I made about Monsanto being sued very heavily? I mentioned glyphosate. Maybe you know if you watch my dang video, I put all that time into. But whatever. Now, I don't know how anyone with a brain could think that scented feminine products were a good idea. But guess what? They're full of toxins. In case you didn't know. Yeah, don't use that crap. You should need a scent to hide anything on your vagina. Remember, when we have pain, discomfort, or a bad smell or anything, it's a sign that something is wrong. So you don't want to hide anything. And we're not supposed to smell like Lysol spray down there, in case you didn't know. Just saying. Also, rayon is a synthetic ingredient made from sawdust. And it's heavily linked to toxic shock syndrome, which is why tampon boxes have a warning label for TSS. And it warns women to not leave tampons in for more than 8 hours. Now, as a young girl, when you read this, you're thinking that they made it seem like the toxic shock syndrome was for having something in that long. And then, you just grow on about your adult life. You don't really think too much about it. You just don't put it in. But you never think about, wow, it's the toxic overload, not the actual object inside of my vagina. Crazy, right? So, every month we're exposing ourselves to cancer risk, hormone disruption, and increased infections with these mainstream feminine products. I even had a coworker, she was telling us how she's allergic to regular tampons. Because, this is what women talk about. We just sit around talking about our periods all the time. I was buying some of Always organic products, but not anymore. Done with them. They suck. Now, I didn't really want to ever come out as the political hoe, but this is a situation where something needs to be said. So I'm going to be the light version of the political hoe. Disclaimer, before I get started into this, talking about the ma'ams and everyone, I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm not talking about the people who are literally just living their lives and doing their thing, just being cool and just rational people. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the radical ma'ams in the alphabet community. So I'm going to explain how this whole mindfuck started and where I think it's going. Back to the simple thing. Why is this important? It's just a symbol on a package. It's so little. What's the problem? It's so little that you saw it and made a big deal about it. Exactly. A swastika is also a symbol. Although it was stolen from Africa, we all associate it with offensive Nazi ideals. We don't accept it because we're offended by what it stands for. Okay? That's what symbols do. They stand for things. Which means the radical T's are offended by the existence and belief in normal and natural femininity. So for those of you who don't really pay too much attention to what's going on or are too young to remember how this all started, the radical alphabet community became mainstream by hitting people emotionally. If you pay attention, everything that they're trying to convince us of is about emotions. For instance, with the guns. Their children died. Yes, I'm so sorry that these kids died, but that doesn't mean that I should have to give up my guns. See, emotion. So what they did was they started with homosexuality, have transitioned into pedophilia. They're still working on pedophilia. And next up is bestiality. Now, if you don't believe me about the pedophilia, besides the Man-Boy Lovers Association, look it up. And if you go on Twitter, go @Clover. That stands for child lover. Because now there's like a trans age. So a grown man says that he's a young girl trapped in a grown man's body and should be loving little boys. Look it up. Real shit. And I honestly didn't see the transsexual thing coming. I really didn't. I thought they were going to go straight to pedophilia. I'm not always right. I digress. In 2001, MTV made a movie about a man named Matthew Shepard. The takeaway was that he was killed simply for being gay. And I remember being so upset. How could someone do this to this poor gay man? He was just being gay. Let him be gay. If he wants to flirt with the guy at the bar, whatever. Don't kill him. That's not what happened. What happened was, he was really being robbed because the guys thought that he had like $10,000 worth of crystal meth on him because he was a user and a dealer. And also they never said that he actually knew one of his killers, and apparently they were being pimped out together, but they didn't talk about that. Not saying that his death was, should have happened or anything, but they tried to use him as the gay rights poster boy. And a lot of laws came out of that, if you didn't know. The next argument was, it'll never affect you. It's about people and what they want to do in the privacy of their bedrooms. Another lie. For instance, women are now losing to men in sports, being sexually assaulted in prisons, restrooms, and shelters by dudes who are posing as women. Next thing you know, I have a little sister who's like 14 now. So by the time she makes it to college, she'll be forced to share dorm rooms with boys who think they're girls. That's not okay, y'all. And notice how the vernacular changed as well. And also the floor for debate just completely disappeared. Like you can't have any type of rational conversation with a leftist, or far leftist, or bam. It's just, oh no, you hate and this and this, and like, no, I just really, want to have a legit conversation with you. If you don't say you support homosexuality or transvestites, then you're a homophobe or a transphobe. And they've literally redefined the word phobia. Literally. A phobia was a fear, unless you're talking about the alphabet community, which is totally unfair, and it's just not right. And it's like they know it's not right, but they just keep going with it. It's a mess. Also, you're being accused of hating people just because, or you can lose your job just for simply speaking the truth. Like doctors have lost jobs, y'all. It is insane. And also, when did the vernacular go from transvestite to transgender? When the idea that you can switch gender and that sex and gender are separate was invented. Now, of course, there were transsexuals and transvestites, so now all of a sudden it's transgender, I guess. And also notice how scientists and professors can back these new ideas. The Nazis also had scientists and professors backing their beliefs. And even today, scientists come to conclusions in favor of whoever's financing their project. How do you think we started using GMOs in our vaginas? Because because a scientist said it was safe. Well, since we're talking about stupid companies and their desire to be inclusive, I'm also over Gillette. Do you remember the commercial that came out with the little boys were roughhousing and they're saying, oh, that's toxic masculinity. But there's a chick with a GMO beard shaving with the hoodie on, and that's masculinity? Why are you attacking our men? Let them be men. I can't tell a man how to be a man. Men do certain things because that's what they need to grow up, to grow. I mean, we all go through different little things as kids, and men understand that. That's why they raise their sons. And, women, teach us little things as little girls. And, this is just the way that we grow up. And they're all for different reasons. And like I said, I'm not a man, so I can't tell these little boys don't roughhouse. I mean, they're doing it for a reason. It's natural. There's nothing wrong with being natural. But, that's the light version of the political hoe. I hope I never had to be the political hoe again. But, start buying more organic tampons and pads and, cotton balls and things like that, because these chemicals are very dangerous. And we really shouldn't be dying because we get periods. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow me on Instagram. Obey me on Twitter. Y'all have a good night.